Welcome back to Breakfast with Bob. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're live on triathlete.com. My next guest, you know, having legends in with me is always really special. Jurgen Zack, one of the premier triathletes from Germany forever. Jurgen, how the heck are you?
Thanks, Bob, for having me here. And I realize you follow me this year to all my favorite places.
Yes.
You were chasing me to Roth.
Stalking, I think we call that in
you
England. Yeah,
stalk,
in the US, yes.
Do I have to be concerned?
You do have to be concerned. I heard you have a beautiful
Soft
girlfriend, so you have to be concerned. So you just finished riding the bike course, leading everybody on the bike course here. Are you surprised how big triathlon has become in Asia?
Not really. When I came it the first time in '97, I was having lots of prejudices. I didn't think Thailand would be a good place to do a triathlon or to train for. I thought it's too hot, the roads are not good, you get sick from the food, the health care is not proper, and but
besides that, it was be fine.
So I came here and I saw this race here, the Laguna Phuket Triathlon, and I realized this is actually a very well organized race. Murphy Reinschaber was involved in this race, and Debbie already was the race organizer. Then I went back to Germany, came back to race for a second time, went back to Germany, and then I decided to go back to Thailand to experience Thailand as a tourist.
Right.
As a backpacker, to see the real Thailand.
Oh, really? So you really spent some quality time here?
I was 1 month just traveling on a scooter all over Thailand. I went to Chiang Mai with a friend and went all the way to the Golden Triangle and slept in cheap places and just ate normal Thai food. And then I really started to love Thailand. This was real Thailand. I didn't expect that everything looks like the Laguna resort, which is absolutely nice.
Yes.
But I also like the simple Thailand. And coming back to Phuket a few more times, I realized, well, there are some good roads, there are some good trails, and the weather is not that bad when you really start training in the morning. This could be a good training destination, but there hasn't been any sport facilities.
Right.
So when Klaus Hebben, the owner of Thanyapura, approached me 3.5 years ago and showed me his project, and I went to inspect the construction because it was not finished yet.
Right.
I thought, this is it. This is what I was always looking for as a pro triathlete.
Yeah.
You remember I came to San Diego, which was awesome. But here you have everything in one center.
Yeah. Similar to like a Club La Santa in Lanzarote.
Exactly, but I think it's more upscale, and I think Phuket has more to offer than Lanzarote. I think Lanzarote is too much lava fields. I get depressed here.
There's one road.
Yeah, and here's more variety. Here's more nature, nicer ocean where you can swim in. More different cultures, and also like the Thai culture and the Buddhism, the Thai food. Everything is great here.
So you've become, I mean, you've been here, what, 3 years now?
Yeah, exactly.
3 years, living here full time.
Yeah, I started working here for Thanyapura 3 years ago, but I kept coming here as a tourist or an athlete 16 times before I decided to work here.
Wow. And so at the 3 years that you've been here, how big has your program gotten?
Well, I started from zero.
Yeah.
There were a few triathletes on the island, but they were all spread out and they didn't train together that much. And so my first goal was to get all the expats who do triathlon together in one boat, and then to inspire the Thai athletes, which we did very successfully. We have the best Thai triathlete here in Phuket at Thanyapura, Jurgen, who was also taking
Wasn't he in Roth?
He was in Roth.
Well, you introduced me to him in Roth. That's correct. And you train him.
Exactly, and he was the first Thai.
Did he do Ironman too? Did he come to Kona?
He qualified for Kona.
That's right.
He qualified for Las Vegas, and he's already a legend in Thailand. And he just lives about 2 kilometers away from here, and he inspires all the young kids. So when you drive around in the morning, you see lots of Thai groups, young kids, very talented, and this was the second stage of my goal. And the third one is to attract international athletes from beginner to professional level. People who want to escape from the European winter, for example, and come here instead going to Mallorca or Lanzarote. And we're doing pretty good. We offer 15 organized training sessions per week for triathletes.
Wow.
And we have 20 to 50 participants for each workout.
And you've got a kids event too, right? Don't you have a kids event this weekend here?
We have the Junior Challenge.
Yeah.
we're very proud to have this event, and we have probably more than 200 kids participating,
That's so
and
cool.
half of them are Thai kids.
Yeah.
And if you have a chance, come and watch, because
I will.
it's an amazing event, and you're going to see some really talented young boys and girls.
So in a very short period of time, you've taken one young man and you qualified for 70.3, qualified for Kona. So obviously there's a lot of talent on this island.
There is. I would say the Thais get very easily excited about triathlon, and they need the role models. And Ray is one of these role models.
Yeah.
I also have a Thai assistant coach Ricky, who is the fastest duathlete in Asia. A great guy, inspires all the young kids as well. But we also have international athletes who decide to come and move to Phuket. The first one was Frederik Kroneberg.
Okay.
PB Ironman distance 8:28, so he's the fastest Ironman athlete who lives in
Besides
Asia.
you.
Well, at the moment.
Yeah, we're talking
I'm
7:51. Come on now.
But that's a long time ago. that's 16 years ago. That doesn't count anymore. Well,
it counts forever, Jurgen.
Okay, but
yeah.
For this year, he's the
Right,
fastest,
right.
and more and more keep coming. And Justin, Belinda, Granger, they keep spending more time
They love it here.
in Thailand. And the next level is Chris McCormack.
Macca is just signed on with your same location, right?
Exactly, he's going to be
Tanapura.
the new boss of Tanapura Sport.
So he's going to be your boss.
That's true. That's
Really?
true, yeah, but I'm looking forward to this. I think we need this push. We need more international people coming in.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to have somebody who is a real athlete running the show at Tanapura. And he's a good friend, and he's fun, and
He's
that's
a lot
what
of
we
fun.
need. It's not just about serious training.
No. It's about the attitude and personality.
Fun is important too.
Well,
yeah.
and that's been, obviously Macca's personality has always been there, but early on, you were one of those guys. You were one of the guys in the 90s who brought a great personality to the sport, right? And was not afraid to say what you were going to do, right? You go to Ironman and say, I need to take the running legs out of Mark Allen so that I need to hurt him on a bike so that I can win the race.
Yeah.
And then so you weren't afraid to do that, and Macca was sort of the same way.
Exactly, and I'm looking forward to this. We need a little bit more fresh blood
Yes.
in Phuket
Yeah.
from international side,
Right.
and there's a lot of space in Phuket for more action. The facility is huge.
Yeah.
It's built on 20,000 square meter.
Wow.
For 100 million euro. We have a 50-meter pool, 25-meter pool, 500-meter tartan running track, 1,000 square meter fitness with the best equipment, tennis, soccer, rugby, yoga, meditation, 2 hotels, restaurants.
Wow. That's amazing.
Sports bar, private school, international school, everything.
That's unbelievable. So when you look back at your career as an athlete, what races stick out the most for you? Obviously, there was some great battles with you and Lothar Leder and the great German athletes, and Thomas Hellriegel when 90, I think it was 97 when he won in Kona and you were second. The Germans dominating the triathlon world. What when you look back, what races do you? Because I know you're a guy who lives in the here and now and doesn't really think that much about the old stuff.
No, and in fact, I do think a lot about the old
Do
races.
ya?
Yeah. It's just, especially now with Facebook, there are a lot of Facebook sites where people really post old stuff, which you cannot find on the internet normally. In the nowadays internet times, you don't find all the videos from the 80s or 90s. It's hard to find them. But it's nice to have a platform like Facebook where people can share this. My favorite race, or the race that I focused the most on, was of course Ironman in Germany, which is now the challenge race in Roth.
Did you win that 5 times?
5 times,
yeah.
And this has been the number 1 race for me, the most important one. And the other one of the year was always Kona, Hawaii, which was maybe be the more prestigious than Roth, but being a German, it was always important to be in Roth. So I always had a hard time to recover.
I was going to say, was that hard? Because nowadays someone would say that it's hard to be that fit in July and that fit again in October.
It was hard. It would go okay if you have no problems, no injuries.
Right.
But once you got a cold or a little calf problem or
Yeah.
Achilles problem between these two races, the preparation would be a little bit
Yes.
ruined.
Oh. That's Hawaiian music. So, of all the German guys who you raced against, who did you race the most against? Who did you have your best battles with? Was it Lothar?
No, in fact, I would say it was Wolfgang Dittrich.
It was Wolfgang.
Yeah, because Wolfgang was racing against me right from the start. We met in 1984, and in 1989 we decided to go to San Diego together. That's where we met a long time ago.
Yes.
We shared a condo together for many years and did most of the training together. So I was his training partner till he resigned from racing.
Right, so you retired, yeah.
And he was a great guy to train with, a good competitor, fair athlete,
Yeah.
always tried to go off the front, and we had
Yes.
the same mentality. Don't wait for the packs, just go to the front.
Well, yeah, you look at the history with Wolfgang, yourself, Thomas Hellriegel, now Sebastian Kienle. Germans have had a history, right, of being phenomenal cyclists. Why is that in Ironman and in triathlon?
I think the Germans were right from the start a little bit more bike orientated with triathlons. The first triathlons we had were always a little bit on the longer side for the bike.
For the bike.
So it was a 2-kilometer swim, a 100 or 120 kilometer bike, and a 20 or 15 kilometer run.
Right.
So that's why the focus right from the start was more on biking.
Yeah.
And then we were racing against international athletes. We realized, oh my God, the Aussies kick our butt in the swim.
Right.
But we always catch them on the bike.
Right.
So then we had our first superstars in triathlon. People looked up to them, and all the younger kids tried to copy that.
Right.
Being good on the bike. Want to be like Jurgen or Thomas Hellriegel.
Right.
Or like Wolfgang Dittrich.
And then you come up with, then Norman Stadler follows.
Exactly.
And the rest. So what are your thoughts on Sebastian Kienle?
Great athlete, great attitude, and
Good
he's
personality
not-
too.
Yeah, he's not at his peak yet.
No, yeah. But he's someone, I could see him winning Ironman one day.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. And wait, you've got Thomas who's won and Norman who's won.
And Faris.
And Ferris, yes. And now this year, Germans again. You had, Sebastian had a great race, and I think Timo was 9th and Ferris was 10th. So you still had 3 Germans in the top 10.
That's true. That's
In
true.
Kona.
And also interesting is that all the Germans who won the race
Yes.
were athletes who did not hesitate to go off the front. And when Norman won and Faris,
They won from the front.
they were off. I mean, they had a big lead after the bike. And when Hellriegel won, he was not first off the bike. That was me, but he was in second position together with Peter Reed that year.
Right.
So he was never hiding in a pack, and that's
No.
what I like about these athletes, and that's what I especially like about Sebastian Kienle. He's not afraid to break the wind and go off the front and push it. And it's good to see that he also manages to have a good run,
Yeah.
similar to Starkovic.
Exactly. So when I'd watch you race over there in Kona, for whatever reason, and I know people would talk about you on the Tuesday run, that Jurgen's dropping everybody. Jurgen's an amazing runner. And then, but do you think you ever had as good a run as you knew you could have in Kona?
Well, looking back, of course, I think I could have had a better run. But the heat and humidity was never my climate.
Yeah.
I liked the dry heat, like in San Diego,
Right.
California. That was the better temperature for me. Plus, running on the road was not as good as running on a trail like in Roth.
Yes.
I was more the heavy guy, so I
Right.
was suffering with all the pounding.
Right.
I ran a 247, 248 2 times in Germany.
Yes.
In distance races in Hawaii. I barely broke 3 hours
yeah.
once.
Yeah.
Which was okay, but not good enough to win the race.
Right.
But looking back, I also realized I made a few mistakes in my training. I did focus too much on the shorter stuff for running. I trained more like an Olympic distance
Right.
athlete. I did 10 1,000s with Simon Lessing in 3 minutes flat with 200 jog recovery. And everybody said, Jürgen, you should run 2:45 in Hawaii. That year I ran a 3:06.
Yeah.
So now as a coach,
Yes.
I'm a little bit smarter because
I was going to say, you
do-
probably learned a lot that has
Yes.
helped your athletes.
I learned from my own experience, but I also observe more athletes and what other coaches are doing. And I think people have to train more race specific. It doesn't matter how fast you run the 400 or the 1000 on the track. You need to be ready for what's happening in the lava fields out there.
Right. Well, it's interesting because we had for the Olympics last year, I remember Alberto Salazar coaching Galen Rupp and Mo Farah, and he said from his study of the event, it didn't matter if the race was fast or slow. You had to be able to run the last quarter in 52 or 53 seconds.
Mhm.
And so they did all the training based on you're going to have to run that last quarter in 52 or 53 seconds. So for you, for Ironman, or training someone for Ironman, you have to train them to be able to run that second half of the marathon as well as they run the first half of the marathon.
That's exactly right. And I was able to manage this in Roth. When I look
Yeah.
back at the statistics and analyzed my races, I was pretty consistent. Even when Luc van Lede passed me,
Yes.
it looked like on paper, okay, Luc passed Jurgen. Jurgen bonked at the end
Right.
of the run. I did not. I ran the last 10 kilometer in 39 minutes.
Wow.
And I ran the first 10 kilometer in 39 and a half. And
There's the stuff in the
between,
middle.
It was always around 4 minutes per kilometer, very consistent. But in Hawaii, I started the first K in 38, ran the last 10K in 52 or something.
Right. Yeah. Well, again, like you said, you're a bigger guy, and the heat will affect you more than it'll affect other guys. Now, you raced last weekend here. I think you had a problem with your saddle, but you're racing here this weekend, the half.
Exactly. Well, last week I couldn't reach my full potential, so I decided to make myself useful and did the race together with my girlfriend.
That gives
side
you
by
brownie
side.
points. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. She loves me now.
Yeah, that's good.
Before she only said
Put up with you before.
Yeah,
Now
but-
she loves you. Yeah. That's good.
she also did a PB and won her age group.
Because she had a good coach.
That's what you say.
That's
Thank you.
what I said.
And but it was really nice to go through this experience, to do the race together with her, and also
Yeah.
when you're a little bit slower, then you have more
You can
time
enjoy yourself.
to enjoy the race, to watch the other athletes, to
Yes.
connect with the volunteers at the aid stations, and it was really fun. And had such a good time that I decided I want to do this again.
Yes.
So I'm racing on Sunday, and I will be racing in the pro wave.
Yes.
Not as a pro, and not as an age grouper.
But in between.
I will, something in between. I will be my own category.
Ambassador.
They call it the legends or the old farts.
Yes, Old Farts is good. Yeah.
So I just need to finish the race and do win my category.
You can sort of wave, do the Rose Bowl wave as you run through. But when I look back at everything you've accomplished, from your 5-time wins at Challenge Roth, a 7:51 there, and a 4:14 bike ride. I mean, that's the stuff that lasts forever when you look at those type of times. Do you look back sometimes and go, I can't believe I went that fast?
Well, now looking at Starkovic going 4:02 in Florida, I think now I did a pretty lousy job with my 4:14.
You feel like a slacker with 4:14.
But now I'm really proud of these times because the 7:51 and the 4:14, I think this was the absolute max I could go. This
Yes.
was my potential.
Yeah.
And I reached that
And
potential.
you got that.
I'm really proud of this. I think I didn't reach my potential in Hawaii because of not so good runs, but
Right.
Especially 7:51 in Roth. And despite not winning the race, Luke passed me with 1 mile to go.
Yeah.
I was really pleased with the race when I crossed the finish line and I saw the 7:51 on the big screen.
Yeah.
I felt like a winner, and
Which you should.
I lost against a guy who was better that day.
Yes.
Luc van Lede had an amazing race, and there were no bitter feelings, and I have just positive memories of this day.
You know what's interesting, and I think because the type of sport it is, that it's not a cycling deal where you're sitting in and drafting, so the psychological aspect of it isn't as important as in triathlon racing. For the most part, the best person wins. And it seems like there's always been good camaraderie between the top pros. Because you know, at the end of the day, either you're going to win or Thomas is going to win or someone else is going to win, but there's not much you can do to affect his race. All you can do is affect your own race.
That's true. That's true. And I have to say, over all those years, I started triathlon in '83. I met a lot of great guys in the pro scene, and my idols over those years were from the start Rob Burrell,
Yes.
Mark Allen, Thomas Helwigel, Luc van Leerde. They were my competitors over all these years,
Yeah.
and they were the greatest sportsmen that I've ever met.
Now, Mark Allen, because you were in San Diego, I'm assuming you did a fair amount of training with Mark.
Exactly. The first years I was the one who called him, Mark, can I train with you? After I beat him in Zoffing in '92.
Yes.
He was going on my nerves and called me every day.
Yes.
Can I train with you? Then he went back to Zoffing and won that race.
Yes.
Remember that?
And then he didn't call you again.
But he was a great guy to be with.
Yeah, good trainer partner.
Very good training partner, and the whole triathlon scene in San Diego in the late 80s and 90s was awesome. With Europeans coming in like Sarah Coop, Glenn Cook, Spencer Smith, Simon Lessing.
Yeah.
The Aussies coming in with Greg Welch,
Yep.
and
And
so on and
McKeely,
so
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Some of the Yayas, the sauerkrauts, like Wolfgang and me and others.
Yes.
It was a great time. I think this was the best training phase I've ever had in my life in San Diego.
Yeah. And so your expectations for Sunday? Just enjoy yourself.
Enjoy myself and hang out with the pros as long as I can on race day.
Now, would you ever guess when you got into this silly sport that 20-some years later you'd still be involved in it? Or actually, probably more than 20 years.
Now, when I retired, I
Yeah.
thought this is it. I just want to stay fit, and
Yeah.
that meant for me doing sports 2 to 3 hours a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had no interest going back to racing or being with triathletes every day, all day long.
Yeah, because you pretty much went off and did other things.
Yeah, I started doing online coaching, but
Right.
that was just to deal with just a few people.
Right.
That's it. And just because of Tanya Pura, I mean, I came back to train more, be more social with the triathletes again, and get back to a decent shape. I don't train for myself. I train
Yeah.
with other people,
Right.
with my athletes, and I don't see this as training. It's more
Social.
and work.
Yeah.
And I don't question what I'm doing in the morning because people are waiting for me at 7 o'clock. I have to get out the door. There's no excuses. I cannot sleep in.
Right.
But it's fun. And in fact, I spend more time with triathlon and triathletes now than I used to when I was a professional athlete.
Isn't that funny?
But I love it.
Jurgen, thank you so much.
Bob, thank you
Hey, here's
for having
a
me.
toast to everything you've done here.
Prost.
Right?
In Thai, Chok Di Cup.
Jakti Cup?
Chok Di Cup.
Jakti Cup. All right. Again, this is Breakfast with Bob and Jurgen. We are at the Challenge Laguna Phuket Triathlon, which is coming up on Sunday morning, and Jurgen Zack will be winning the race. You heard him right here. He's going off the front, and he's going to dominate.
Old man's division.
Old man's division. We'll be right back.